I know we're running a little bit behind, food is still getting served, so keep eating. But we do have 2 minutes of cardio stand. We're going to go ahead and stand. Jim, a little blessing.
Please join in prayer or meditation as I say, bless this food to our use and us to thy service. Amen.
Jim, are you our songster today?
I am. I have to fail, but I'm just delighted to be here.
Yes, round of applause. Now.
Sally from Vic and Marty, a neighbor of mine. I think we ought to do a happy day here again. Yeah.
9.
9. 9. Happy.
Got a lot to go over this afternoon, and we do have a few welcomes. Yeah. Alan, it's so fantastic to have you back amongst our midst. We have missed you.
Good to be back.
You have a few guests here today, so I wanted to see if you would just stand up and introduce yourself. Marty.
My name is Marty Rosen, live in Bayview, Bay Creek, Bayside Village.
And we welcome you to visiting our club, and we hope you come back and actually stick to us.
Okay, very good. Oh, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you. Yes, good afternoon. My name is Ken Huggindubler. Literally, my wife and I just moved down here from Pennsylvania on Thursday. Almost 30-year-old parent. Yes, I told him I was 10 years old, but I've been around 30 years, looking forward to transferring my membership down here.
Well, we appreciate you coming and being a part of our club today. And Sally, I'll get to you in a minute. You're our speaker, so you get a different reading. A couple of other announcements really quick. I have sent it out this morning. I just wanted to put note of it. I know Ken is here. I'm sorry if I'm putting him on the spot, but unfortunately, your wife has indicated she's going to be stepping away from the club. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So Laura's going to be resigning from the club. I've not had a chance to talk with her yet. Saw the email very early this morning, so well, it is a lot. Say that again?
She's got a lot going on with homeowners.
So maybe we can try and get her back one day in the future. You never know. You never know. So we have a lot of changes going on in our membership. And again, we always encourage people to come and join us and learn about Rotary and be a part of our club. So we welcome the new additions coming to visit us and hope to join our club permanently. So I think Bill wants the floor for a minute to announce if you haven't done something already today. If you need to still do it, you got time.
All right, so today is Giving Tuesday in District 7600. What does that mean? You go online to myrotary.org, myrotary.org. If you haven't logged into that, then it's too late. So I've said this about 4 times, but you go on myrotary.org, and once you log in, your profile will come up. Go to the donate button, and then you find the annual funds, and you can contribute $100 to $500. That will be matched 1-for-1 by the district, and it will also be met 1-for-1 by, well, I've already had 2 people donate that I know of already. And,
I'm one of them. I am now.
well, these 2 other people, so, and both of them are gonna get the max points.
Wow.
Okay? So that's $500. And so they're gonna have $1,500, which means that they are Paul Harris in a hat. All right, just for that, okay? So, do it, you got till midnight tonight. So hopefully you'll do it, so we got 3 now, that's great, so. That's it, thank you.
Thank you.
And more. Just some quick reminders, we are unveiling, having a little ceremony for the Rotary Clock, that is going into Strawberry Plaza. That is the last Saturday in April, April 26th, thank you. That will be around the noonish hour, so we want to have as many Rotarians attend that as possible, because this is really a fantastic thing you've done for the town of Cape Charles, and we're so excited to have that happen. Lastly, I know the bookmobile is moving forward vigorously. Jim hopes so.
Oh, vigorously, yes.
Vigorously.
Vigorously.
Because we are coming up on the end of April, we've got to close out these grants, so I know we're gonna be working on that. And in that vein, the future grant, so for those who remember or know, the 3 clubs try to work together and submit on a rotating basis. Exmoor is the next club up to go after a district grant through Rotary. And I've had a brief conversation with Tommy Arnold. One of the potential projects might be, the ball field up in Nassawadox is the
Randy.
Randy Custis, thank you. The Randy Custis field up there. They're in a massive campaign trying to raise funds for putting in lighting for the ball fields. And that will help them, because the community college is trying to build a team of some sort. And part of that, they want to do night games, they need some lights. And so they really want to make a push, to try and get some lights up at the Nassawadox facility. So that may be one of the projects they are considering for that district grant submission, and so more is working on that piece, and they're gonna let me know a little bit sooner where they are in that discussion. So I just want to make you aware of that. I hope that might appeal to everybody, to be something that we can support, on behalf of the Cape Charles Club as well. I did want to just quickly touch on, we've had a couple of our members, feel poorly, and some instances happen, so I'm gonna kind of lean on Bill. Do you want to give an update on Betty, for those who may not know what heard of Betty?
Yeah, a week ago last Wednesday, Betty had her second auto accident in about 3 months. Betty suffers from Parkinson's. And she had a terrible accident, collapsed, her lung, 1 lung, 2 ribs broken. Her brother said her diaphragm is injured. That's medical talk, John.
I don't know anything about it. Except for the art,
He played one on TV, what do you talk about?
So she's out of ICU and she's eating soft stuff because it hurts to swallow. And her family's looking for a rehab place right now. I've been passing on messages to the radio, but I think this is it for Megan driving.
Could be.
Yeah. So on behalf of the club as a whole, we sent her flowers and a card went out, when we got news of this accident, so we wish her the best and we'll continue. I think you said you had moved to rehab facility, so we'll try and share that information, if you'd like to try and visit.
They're looking for one.
Oh, they're still looking for one, okay,
She's in the regular room now.
okay. So we'll continue to share information with you as we get it, so if we wish to communicate with her, that'd be great. We've had a couple other members who've been under the weather, but I'm not sure they'd give us permission to.
Yeah, he has.
Okay, you wanna talk about it?
Well, I asked him to.
Okay, go ahead.
So David Cavler and I talked a few days ago, and he was really excited because he's coming back from, on his heart, PT for your heart. Where 3 weeks ago he could hardly walk, a few minutes, he's up the 3 miles on the Fresno block, and he's looking forward to, coming back. And he thanks everybody for their thoughts and prayers.
Very nice. And we've also sent him a card. And I'm struggling my brain to remember the third one that we sent a card to. In town.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
Yeah.
gee, we sent him a card and he showed up again.
Yeah.
The power of our messaging, how about that? Any other? Or items you want to contribute to the club right now from any other members?
I just want to say, I'm the, I guess the coordinator of our club's mentorship program, and we've got 9 members who are relatively new. They still haven't finished their mentorship. So we're trying to make a big push to get these people done. Once we had 10, it'll be 10.
Rotarian.
Yeah, no, he's still got to learn about it. And, Jason has agreed to get them organized, to be greeters. Some of them still need to be greeters for a couple of our meetings. And I think that's getting up and going now. One of the requirements is that you attend a board meeting. We're having a board meeting 1 week from today at 11. Nope.
I need to reschedule that, sorry. I'll talk to you guys here shortly.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever it is, you'll find out from Katie.
Yeah.
So, please, if you're one of those 9, please get to work and get those requirements finished. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate that. And for those who were able to stick around last week, I know the fireside chat was held, so a couple of you did stay for that as well. Thank you, Bill and Paul, for making that happen, since I have failed as your president to do the fireside chat.
Well, so did Jim.
I know. No, yeah. Any other announcements from the club that you want to pass along at this exact moment? Hearing none, I'm gonna move on to happy dollars. Does anyone have any happy dollars they would feature today? Mark?
2 things, I have $10 for each, but April 15th, 2000 was the first gathering of those who organized citizens for Central Park. So on April 15th this year from 5 to 6:30, there's just an informal reception for folks who can celebrate that event at the Coffee House on Mason Avenue, 5 to 6:30.
I'm sorry, that's the one. Coffee house. Coffee.
And as of last Thursday, this hat is appropriate because Sloanwell Carr, my first grandson, was born.
Anyone else with happy dollars?
Yes, I got 15 happy dollars. $5 for each of 3 people. I'm glad to have Alan Burns back. So $5 for Alan. Tom Godwin, I'm glad to have back. I think that's his wife told me that I was trying to track Tom down. Did an email, he wouldn't answer, so I sent him to his wife. And finally found out that they were both a little under the weather, but Tom is feeling well enough to be back. Glad to have him back. And I'm glad that finally meet Ken.
Absolutely.
You don't have to say your last name again. Look at that. The close. We've been communicating with him. I didn't know what he looked like. So I didn't know he was sitting at the table next to me, but delighted. We've been expecting, had great expectations to have you come visit our club, and thank you for finding us.
Very good. Round, okay. I'm actually gonna turn to our speaker before I do our drawing, hearts program to see if we can sell a few more cards, just in case people wanna bet a little bit more if you're feeling lucky today. I do need to let the board know, we have, we meet the second Tuesday of the month. I have a commitment now for town. We have a hearing set, with the Board of Zoning Appeals. It starts at 10 a.m. I've got 10 public hearings that morning, so I don't think I'm gonna make it here by 11. Pretty guaranteed I'm not gonna make it here by 11. I'm not even sure I'll make it here by 12. So I'm gonna need to reschedule. I need to talk to the board members. I'll shoot either you can talk today before you leave, or I'm gonna shoot an email out trying to see if we can meet later in the week or the following Tuesday. So I apologize for the late notice. A little hectic at my job. I apologize. So With that said, I'm gonna turn over to our guest speaker today, Sally Richardson, who's gonna talk to us about, I don't know, maybe something deal with the Fairgrounds Center, because I don't think this has always been here. So we are excited to have Sally to talk to us. Welcome. The floor is yours. Bring you right up here to the camera and get you on our.
Great, thanks, Katie.
Sure thing.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Sally Dickinson, and I am the Executive Director at the Barrier Island Center, and I'm really excited to talk to you this morning. I'm gonna sit for 10 minutes or so, and y'all are gonna get a history. And then I'm gonna talk a little bit about what the Barrier Island Center is doing today. So, is everybody ready for a little history lesson? Just a little bit about myself. I have been at the Barrier Island Center for 20 years. I was a classroom teacher in public and private schools, and I took about 10 years off with our children. And then I started as the director of education at the Barrier Island Center, and I served in that role for 15 years. And now I've been the executive director for 5 years. So I've always kind of stayed in the education field, and history was my major and my love. So it's I love my job. I'm gonna start out with this map of the Eastern Shore. So our museum tells the history of the 16-mile-long chain of barrier islands, which are right off our coast. And, you know, the island, no one lives on the islands nowadays, but for hundreds of years, the islands were they called their home. So starting with the Jamestown colonists in the early 1600s, you know, it's amazing. Once Captain Smith and his men just, you know, settled Jamestown, they continued exploring. They never stopped, and they explored all around this Chesapeake Bay region. And Captain Smith and the early colonists discovered these islands, these southern islands. John Smith named Smith Island after himself. And the colonists put their sheep and their cattle on the islands to graze, and the island acted as a natural pen, so they didn't have to build a fence. They would just put them on the island and then go back and forth periodically to check on their livestock. And they also, the early colonists, made salt out on the islands, and salt was an important part of their diet and in preserving food. And when also someone told me that the colonists also avoided the penning tax by putting them on a barrier island, because there was a tax. Anything enclosed within a fence would be taxed back to England. So by putting their livestock on the barrier island, they avoided that tax. But more and more people started to move out there year round in the 1700s. And I like to tell people, think really like 1790 to 1940. So kind of that 150-year window. So the early seafood industry, people were moving out there from, you know, watermen. And also because this is such an important migratory flyway for birds, it's a wonderful place for waterfowl hunting and obviously fishing. And so, especially after the Civil War, you saw this real rise of hotels and men's hunt clubs. So wealthy industrialists from New York, Baltimore, DC would be part owners in these really swanky clubs that were hunt clubs out there. And Cobb Island, which had the famous Cobb Island Hotel, when it's in its heyday, could accommodate 220 guests. So, and when the railroad came down, you know, the spine of the Eastern Shore in the 1880s, that was a game changer for the islanders, because now they had yet another, actually even a more reliable means of transportation for getting their seafood up and out by rail. But also the railroad brought passengers down who then would go out to the islands to vacation. And I was reading an article in the Baltimore Sun in the late 1880s, and the author was marveling that could wake up in Baltimore, Maryland, and by late afternoon, be sitting on a beach at Cobb Island. So the railroad made that a one-day, trip, which was just, mind blowing back then. Because there's low-lying shoals off of these islands too, there were many shipwrecks over the years. So the federal government put life-saving stations up and down the islands as well. And now it's referred to in the Coast Guard, but right around World War I, prior to that, it was referred to the life-saving service. So when you see both, they're both really painful, just the name would change. Hog Island had the largest population of residents. It had 200 or so people that lived on the islands. And the folks that lived out there, they called these barrier islands nature's speed bumps because they slow down the energy from the Atlantic, and they protect the eastern shore, but the barrier islands take the first hit. And someone said too, barrier islands are some of the fastest moving real estate there is. So barrier islands are just elongated bodies of sand that are always shape shifting and moving. And they also take the first hit from storm. So the islanders who lived out there, who, and as we tell our just, they were some smart folks. They needed to figure out how to live out on those remote islands for, and kind of figure out how to make it work. They were, they knew that, they were good with their hands. They knew the tide, they knew their island like the back of their hands. And they were seeing so much change happening to their island, not like just generation to generation, but it was starting to become, storm. They were realizing this is probably not going to be sustainable. And so the families started to pick up and move off in the 1920s. But then a bad storm happened on August 23rd, 1933. And by today's standards, it was just barely a Category 2 hurricane. They didn't have the measurements back then, but what scientists think it was like high Category 1, low Category 2 winds. But it was that perfect storm, unintended, a high tide, storm surge, and Category 2 winds. And it just overwashed the islands and was a scary enough event that the moms and dads kind of waved the white flag and said, all right, it's just time to go. And so they packed up everything, and that would be really just their objects of everyday living they had with them out there. Their fishing rods, their decoys, the andirons that were in that hotel, the china that was in that men's hunt club. They packed up everything. Everyone, some people even took their houses with them, and they rolled them onto barges, and then they resettled both in Willis Wharf, and some went to Oyster, Watch Parade, and pretty much continued what they were doing out on the islands, but just from this side. So they primarily continued just working with the water. And pretty much everyone was off the island by 1940, except the skeleton crew of the Coast Guard remained until about 1960. So then the islands just kind of went back to their being in their natural state. And in the late 60s, early 70s, there was some big development plans that were going to happen, especially down on these southern islands. I mean, there were causeways planned. There were going to be condominiums, homes, and kind of at the midnight hour, the Nature Conservancy quietly bought up 14 of the 18 islands. And then the state of Virginia owns some, Mockhorn, federal government owns Wallops, where they shoot rockets, and Fisherman's, which we have all been on many, many times. But that's the remarkable thing. And as we tell visitors from all over the country and beyond, but to have, 60 miles of coastline on the east coast of the United States that is pristine and so there's a lot of science going on, a lot of great research about about water quality. What happens to a barrier island when there are not structures on it? Shorebirds. So if I've been involved in 20 years with the Barrier Island Center, I would say especially in the last 10 years, it's amazing how much more interest there are from colleges and universities and researchers all over. Because to have this on the East Coast of the United States of America is amazing. And so people are trying to learn from these barrier islands. So back so how the Barrier Island Center started. I would say in the late, I don't know, maybe 70s, 80s, I've heard that things that came off of Virginia's barrier islands, if I'm using the right word, but maybe it had a certain cachet, like it was cool. Like if someone said, oh, there's a estate sale coming up. This woman used to live on Cobb Island, and I think she has some equals, or that person, used to live on Hog Island, and they had, artifacts that came off the islands. So things were getting bought up at these estate sales and such, and they were leaving the Eastern Shore a lot of them. So some concerned citizens were saying, it's a shame all of this beautiful barrier island history is leaving the shore pretty quickly. So the decoys are heading out to Los Angeles. That's going to Chicago. It was leaving the Eastern Shore, and that story was leaving as well. And so that's what the founders of the Barrier Island Center in the 90s saw this problem, wanted to do something about it, and that's how they started the Barrier Island Center, is to have a place to house that beautiful coastal history that if they didn't do that, you would never know that anyone lived out there or there was any human history on the islands. And I always like to say they were smart to call it the Barrier Island Center and not just the Barrier Island Museum, because we really are more than just a museum. We truly are a cultural center. And the other thing that I think that the founders did exactly right is it was a place they decided, this has to be a place about community, it has to be about education, and that everyone is welcome, and everyone, let's just have some fun at this place. And so that's a little bit of history about Barrier Island Center, or about the Barrier Islands. Terms of some things we've done from an educational standpoint. And I have some newsletters here that I can pass out too, but we do a lot of classes for children and adults. We do summer camps. We do a wonderful program. Some of you might be familiar with, but it's called My First Field Trip. And we have, this is a program for just pre-K and kindergarten students. And they come to the Barrier Island Center 4 times a year for art, music, local history, and manners lessons. And so we say by the time most children on the Eastern Shore graduate from kindergarten, they will have come to Barrier Island Center 8 times for that experience. And it also is a way to that since they come so often, there's a familiarity. And then they want to bring their parents, and so it's a wonderful cycle. The idea of starting them young, let them know their sense of place, their history, a part of history, and so that's a program we did in the past year. 491 students took part in that program, and we're really happy we have just added Head Start up Pear Valley, and Children's Harbor is also joined, but. Kudos to the public schools in Accomack and Northampton County bus the children for that experience for the My First Field Trip. So, and we do things now with our older students as well. And then I'm more involved too. We have, again, that same idea. There's a lot more interest from colleges and universities. So we have students coming all the time to learn about the Barrier Islands, the Eastern Shore, before they go out and do their field work. And so it's a good jumping off point. And then I will end by part of our other fun thing we do is produce content that then educational content. So we're currently working on our 9th documentary. But we've had 8 documentaries under our belt, which all kind of focusing on a different aspect of Eastern Shore, Barrier Island, like whether it be watermen, decoy carving, welcome to the table, talks about the food traditions, the local foodways here. And we're working on our 9th one right now. The last one we did focus on the Alms House, which is where the Barrier Island Center is located. It's the poorhouse. We had spent the first 15 years or so working on the Barrier Island history, but we didn't know too much about the poorhouse history. And visitors would ask, well, what about this building? Or tell me more about the farm, or what's a poorhouse? And so during COVID, we did a deep research dive into who did actually live there and what was it like to, what is a poorhouse? What was it like? And our 8th film focuses on our research from that. So, and we also do some children's books, and I brought a few with me. These are by Curtis Badger, and so Curtis and I work on these, and we kind of we spotlight on a barrier island. So this is Hog Island. This is our latest one we did on Appeteague Island, and we have one on Cobb's Island, and of course this is the first one we did with Andrew Barber, and this is a fun one about the Hog Island sheep. So all children's book, again, we give them out for free to libraries and our local 4th graders, 5th graders, 6th graders, so they can have it and learn a little bit about the Barrier Islands and the Eastern Shore. Underneath your seat, reach under, and if you have a sticker, you can come up and choose to take a book home for free.
I asked about the stickers in the meeting. No. I'll go. Tell me I can.
Come on, choose whichever one you want.
Please. Hog Island.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, pieces of gone.
Oh, I get one too. Fantastic.
Wow.
Okay.
I did the sound on that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the last one. I didn't realize. Excellent.
Newsletters to know a little bit more about what's going on. And also, I'd like to thank you. The Cape Coral Rotary is awesome with helping us do our events. And I thank you so much for parking help that you do for Art and Music on Farm coming up May 24th. And we, you say like, oh, I don't know what we could do it without it. But we could not do it without Cape Charles Road. So thank you for your service. We really appreciate it. And thank you for inviting me today.
Take that home.
Any questions for Sally? Go ahead.
I have one question. I always think about this, but I always forget to ask when I'm up there.
Yeah.
Obviously, the water all around the peninsula and the island,
Yeah.
salt water. So what did the people do for fresh water for the sheep and themselves? How did they get fresh water?
They had cisterns. They did capture some of the the rainwater in that way. That's a good point. And I think some of them had some type of well too. But you know what, when the islanders moved off, they left their sheep behind who just grazed for decades, and they somehow found a fresh water source. Yeah.
Smart sheep.
Yeah. So they've all been shown on PBS, and we also, a lot of, like universities will be part of their curriculum. So if it's shown that way, we used to sell DVDs, but no one has DVDs anymore, so if you want it, like a link to a movie, just, we'll send it, to you. It's more, we make it really for educational purposes more than anything. But this is neat, what our nice one that we're starting to work on right now is, and this is probably the hardest one that we've had, working on, is, and it also came out of a question we're doing about the Native Americans on the Indian shore. We have so much, the place names around here, Appomattox, Machapongo, Pungati. And so our visitors are good, Massawatic, like, well, they'll ask us, because we kind of pick up the story in the 1600s when the colonists moved here. But people say, well, what happened before that? And again, we don't know that much. So we're doing, again, a big research dive into that. So I'll keep you posted, but I'm hoping that the film will be, we're working on it right now. I'm hoping it will be ready in a year is my guess. But again, just kind of an interesting dive into that little known aspect that I don't know much about.
Would your videos be on YouTube?
Yes. And yes, they are. Usually have one a month that you can click on our YouTube channel. Wow. So,
I believe if you're a member of the PBS station, WHRO, I think it's still on the passport
oh, good. Yeah.
as well. So if you're a member of PBS, you can get that one.
Mhm.
Are there more structures left?
There are, there's like, there'll be some, like Hog Island has still a little, punching, the fishing area. There'll be some old fireplaces, little things like that. Mockhorn, right there has, they had a place called the Cushman Lodge, which was owned by a gentleman. He made his fortune in Manhattan with the Cushman Bakery, which in the late 1800s, almost every corner, they said, in Manhattan had a Cushman Bakery. So he made his fortune and came down and bought this island and made this beautiful, elaborate home and an elaborate seawall to protect his home. And that's a real interesting structure that's, it's still there, partially still there. And of course, Cedar Island still has that, like a decent coal card station, which is owned and enjoyed by 12 families. So little parts are privately owned, but by and large, the Nature Conservancy owns most of them.
Is the hotel?
I think from what I've read, you initial meeting of Europeans that came in and the Native Americans, they got along fairly well together. Initially, I don't know how long that lasted, but John Smith and the settlement of Jamestown, they actually did a lot of crazy amongst themselves. They learned a lot from the Native Americans about fishing, catching crabs, and things like that.
Yeah.
So that at least was a good part of the story.
Yes. Right, yes.
Don't mean to cut us off. This has been a great topic, but we are out of time.
Yes, yes.
Sally, we thank you so
Thank
much. I'm glad. We have a welcome. We are 100 years old ourselves as a club, and so this commemorates our anniversary year this year. So
That's
Thank
great.
you
Thank
being
you
here.
very much. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. So we just have a minute left, so we're gonna draw the cards. Who's got the high card today? Who's got an ace? Anybody got an ace out there? An ace of hearts. Anybody higher than that? So Chuck is our winner today of our bank, and so now you get to draw to see if you can hit the queen of hearts to win the big bank. So here you go, Chuck.
Sure to pick a good news on her. King of Hearts.
King of hearts. Oh. And the bank continues to grow, so we all are alive for another week. So with that said, I'm gonna have a stand and say the things we think, say, and do as Rotarians. more.
We'll be back.
That's what I'm
Will we have fun?
Everybody have a great day today. Thank you all.